started the live stream because of the network. Okay, let's continue talking about the book, Love Letters from the Goddess. So sometimes love becomes a force of inner education, and perhaps this is why literature matters so much, because literature allows us to witness emotional transformation without reducing it to theory. A philosophical statement can tell you love should be selfless, but literature allows you to feel what selflessness costs. A spiritual teaching may say attachment causes suffering, but a novel allows you to walk through the emotional weather of attachment until you understand it from inside. So that is why books like Love Letters from the Goddess matter. They do not merely tell us what love is, they allow us to experience what love becomes when it matures. And this maturation is not immediate. In ordinary life, most love begins with attraction. A face, a voice, a presence, a moment, a sentence, a silence. Hi, if you're new here, please subscribe our channel. Thank you so much. We are talking about the book Eternal Love. And if you're new here, please subscribe our channel. Thank you so much. Love is often highly personal, and it is connected to desire, closeness, emotional warmth, recognition. This is completely human. There is nothing wrong with that. Small love is not false love. Small love is simply love in its form. About the topic. Hi Scott. From China and Blessing from London. We just finished 3 days of London Book Fair, and we have our own independent booth bringing Xuemo's works to the world. And this is the second time we are attending London Book Fair. And hi Molly, hi Elaine, hello, hi Nicole, Molly, hi. And if you're new here, please subscribe our channel. And the vintage, the very nice. Hi, if you have anything you want to talk about, let me know. Yes, let me know. So we are talking about small love and great love. Small love and great love. So it is the first language through which the human heart begins to learn. But if love stops there, it remains fragile. If you have any understanding about small love and great love, leave your message. We can talk about that. So as soon as distance appears, insecurity grows. As soon as misunderstanding enters, affection trembles. So the deeper question becomes, can small love survive transformation? Can personal love become larger without losing tenderness? The answer the book suggests is yes. And that is precisely why Shawadi is such a meaningful figure. So, because through the experience of love, she does not collapse, she rises. She becomes inwardly clearer. She becomes emotionally deeper. She moves from longing toward understanding, from personal attachment toward a larger interior dignity. And this process matters because many people today are emotionally intense but spiritually directionless. So, hi to the new friend. Hi, hello, welcome, welcome. Please subscribe the channel if you are new here. I'm on the chain from London to Bath. We just have a dialogue and talk in the University of Bath, and tomorrow we'll have a dialogue in the University of Bristol. So please subscribe our channel and follow up. Let's join the dialogue and talk about love, about wisdom, and about the humanistic care. Humanistic care, yes. Hi, please subscribe channel and share our page to your friends. So today we are talking about love. If you have any understanding about small love and great love, leave your message. Hi May, hello. Please subscribe our channel if you are new here. Thank you so much. Thank you. So many people feel deeply, but maybe they don't know what to do with what they feel, right? Suffer, but they cannot transform suffering. Thank you for your support. They love, but they do not know how to prevent love from becoming emotional chaos. This is where Eastern wisdom enters very quietly. Eastern wisdom rarely destroys emotion. Instead, it teaches how emotion may become transparent, not suppressed, not denied, not clarified. The problem is not that human beings feel too much. The problem is that people often stop at the first emotional layer and they do not continue inward. Yet if one continues inward, love changes shape. For example, many people initially love one person because that person brings light into their life. But they look deeper. They eventually discover what they truly loved was not only the person, but the awakening that happened inside themselves in the presence of that person. So this is a profound discovery because then love stops being merely external. It becomes a mirror. And once love becomes a mirror, human growth begins. So if you have any understanding of small love, petty love, and great love, leave your message and we can talk about it together. So you may begin to ask, why does this person matter so much to me? What part of me awakens here? And what longing inside me has been touched? What beauty inside me has become visible? Then love is no longer merely emotional dependence. It becomes self-recognition. And from there, a much greater possibility opens. The possibility that one person teaches us how to love life itself more deeply. That is when small love begins to become great love. Great love does not erase intimacy, it enlarges it. It allows one relationship to become a doorway toward compassion, patience, and expanded humanity. That is why in many spiritual traditions, love is not rejected. It is refined.
Good evening, everyone. If you just joined us at
If love is truly understood, it can become one of the strongest points on the path of inner awakening. So Xuemo expresses very clearly, love can become the greatest support for spiritual practice, but only if one understands what true love is. Without understanding, love and faith become tangled. Without understanding, people fall into confusion. And without understanding, even something beautiful can become destructive. That is why so many human relationships suffer. People often want eternal feeling, but they do not cultivate inner capacity.
Any drinks or snacks, guys? Just mind your better tail, those. Any drinks or snacks, folks?
Oh.
Any drinks or snacks?
Delicious snacks. Very delicious, and I'd like to drink some water.
Anything else? Okay. A cup of tea? Are you a tea?
I just want to drink some water. I don't want snacks. I rarely eat snacks. Yet, eternal feeling requires inner strength. Otherwise, emotion burns too quickly. So, and in the modern society, people often talk about freedom in love, but freedom without depth easily becomes instability, and commitment without inner clarity easily becomes burden. And what is needed is neither blind attachment nor cold detachment. What is needed is awakened love. We are talking about love today. If you're new here, please subscribe our channel. And you know, Xuemo's works are like the carrier of the love and wisdom to the world. And all Xuemo's works are available on Amazon and also available on our official global online shop, shop.xuemo.com. And the love that remains warm but does not impression. Oh, the book about Xuemo is so nice. Thank you. Have a nice trip. Thank you. Chinese snacks. Actually, I'm quite simple and easy about food and eating. So when we live in the hotel, the favorite part of the whole day is the self-service breakfast. I really like it. The favorite is the yogurt. Yes, Ricky. I mean on the from this is the chain. Because even the train will take almost 2 hours from London to Bath. So we just had a talk in the University of Bath in the afternoon, and we took the train to London for another event. Then we back to Bath because the local professor of the Bath highly recommend the train for us. Even the train will take 2 hours, so actually it is inconvenience to take the taxi. Oh yes, I see you also, Ricky. When we are having the dialogue at the University of the Bath. Tomorrow, it will be the dialogue will be in the University of Bristol. Yes. And speaking about the food, I am quite, the favorite part is the yogurt here. The yogurt and honey are so fantastic. breakfast in London is the favorite part of my trip here. And then my lunch and the lunch can be very simple. Very simple and very little am enough. As long as the breakfast, I feel so full. And for the dinner, we seldomly eat have dinner. Usually just a very tiny piece of bread. Hi, Alice. What do you mean by thank you, Monica? I'm Joanna. Okay, and today the topic is about I'm sharing the book Love. So a love that remains warm but does not imprison, a love that gives but does not calculate, a love that remains empty, what higher emotional possibility still exists. That is why ancient letters are powerful. A letter slows feelings down, a letter requires thought, a letter preserves sincerity, a letter forces the heart to articulate itself carefully. Hi, if you're new here, please subscribe our channel. Thank you. So today, most of the message are immediate, fast, and impossible, but a true reason is called that is a city tourist. Oh, a very lucky thing is when we arrived at Bath, I see myself. I see the King of the United Kingdom. I see the Prince Charles and William, the Prince of Charles and William, and I see the princess, not princess, I see Kate and Camilla, right? I see all of them because they're welcoming the king from where? I don't know, from another country. So I see them. They are, going on the road that, and I am beside the road. See all of them, the royal families. I'm so lucky. Hi, nobody. I am on the train from London to Bath. So I'm in the UK. Where are you from? Tomorrow we will have a dialogue in the University of Bristol. So subscribe our channel and so you can watch the live dialogue. Do I know myself? Possibly, I know. On which level? So if emotion is speaking across centuries, and perhaps this is why readers from different countries feel touched, because sincerity has no nationality. The soul recognizes sincerity before language fully explains it. And once sincerity appears, cultural I'm on the train from London to Bath, and it will take at least almost 2 hours. I will have a candy for the throat. And what is especially meaningful is that when we read love letters from the goddess, we begin to understand that Xuemo is never writing only about love in the narrow sense. Even when the story appears to center around two people, behind those two lives there is always a larger question. What does love reveal about human beings? What does suffering reveal about the heart? And how can emotion become something higher instead of something destructive? And this is one reason why Xuemo's works often feel different from ordinary romantic literature. In many novels, love is treated mainly as a relationship event. Two people meet, emotions develop, conflict appears, separation happens, and the story moves around external events. Thank you. I'm from China and I'm now in London. We are bringing Xuemo's works to the world. This is the 6th time we attending the European Book Fair, like the Frankfurt Book Fair and London Book Fair. I'm actually on the train. Bye bye. Have a nice trip. So love becomes a field where the human soul is tested. It becomes a place where inner truth appears. It becomes a mirror that exposes attachment, fear, longing, sacrifice, dignity, and transformation. That is why after speaking more water. So that is why after speaking about love letters from goddess, it becomes very natural to move to another important work, eternal love. Because if love letters from the goddess shows us how love encounters faith and rises through spiritual refinement, eternal love leads us into another dimension of love. What happens when love meets illness, despair, vulnerability, and the real fragility of human life? And this is a very different emotional atmosphere. In love letters from the goddess, there is historical distance, symbolic beauty, and sacred tension. And perhaps this is why many readers feel immediately touched by it. Because here love, God, 007. I am on the train, not on the plane. So, because here love is no longer distant, it becomes close to daily life, close to fear, close to the body, close to emotional collapse, close to questions that modern people know very well. What happens when illness enters life? What happens when someone begins to lose hope? What happens when the body becomes weak, but the heart is still searching for meaning? And this is where Xuemo again shows something very unusual. He does not write illness only as medical reality. He writes illness as human spiritual situation. Because often what destroys people first is not the illness itself. It is fear. Fear arrives earlier than pain. Fear often grows faster than the disease itself. Fear changes breathing. Fear changes thought. Fear changes sleep. Fear magnifies loneliness. And once fear enters deeply, a person begins suffering not only physically, but existentially. The more you are sharing, the deeper it goes. And this is exactly why external love is not simply a novel about sickness. It is a novel about how love and human warmth still remain present when life becomes fragile. And this gives the book extraordinary relevance for modern readers, because today, even in highly developed societies, many people live under invisible emotional pressure. They may not all face serious illness, but they face anxiety, emotional exhaustion, uncertainty, loneliness, and inner fear. So when they read Xuemo's English books on Amazon, where they are available for global readers, and they are also available through the official website Xuemo.com, shop.xuemo.com, where many of Xuemo's works can be found together, over 80 titles. And each book opens another door. If you begin with love letters from the goddess, you encounter the elevation of love. If you continue further, you begin seeing that all these books are connected by one deeper concern. How can human beings preserve inner dignity in a complicated world? Because modern life gives people more convenience than ever before, but not necessarily more inner clarity. And communicate instantly across continents. Feel emotionally isolated. People can access enormous information, yet still not know how to face fear. People can receive medical treatment, yet still not know how to calm the heart. And this is where literature becomes more than literature. A meaningful novel is not only a story. Sometimes it becomes emotional companionship. Sometimes it becomes reflection. Sometimes it becomes a quiet form of healing. And perhaps this is why readers today are returning again to books that carry not only plot, but depth. Because deep down, people are still searching for something words alone cannot easily replace: inner resonance. And Xuemo's books often create exactly what kind of a resonance. The next stop, tomorrow's event is at the University of Bristol. It is still in the UK. So tomorrow we will have a dialogue and talk in the University of Bristol. And all these live sessions will keep and record in the channel, and you can watch that. And what makes eternal love especially powerful is that beneath the story of inner illness, there is a deeper human truth. Very often, what hurts people most is not illness itself, but fear. This may sound simple, but in real life it is profoundly true. Because illness first appears in the body, but fear immediately spreads into the mind. And once fear enters the mind, suffering becomes much larger than the original physical condition. A diagnosis may be one sentence, but fear immediately creates hundreds of invisible sentences inside a person. Hi, Mason. Yes. Continue reading. Reclaim the throne of your heart. S. Reclaim the throne of your heart.
When approaching Chippenham, if you're leaving us at Chippenham, please check you have all your personal belongings with you and take care
So,
as you step
but
off the train.
fear immediately
Chippenham, your next
creates
station.
hundreds of invisible sentences inside a person. What will happen to me? Will I recover? Will life become smaller? Will people leave? Will I lose control? Will my future disappear? In many cases, the emotional reaction becomes heavier than the illness itself. The body may still be stable, but the inner world has already begun collapsing. This is why in modern life many people suffer not only from disease, but from anticipatory fear. They fear what has not yet happened. They fear possibilities. They fear uncertainty. And uncertainty often becomes psychologically unbearable. And that is why fear magnifies pain. Fear changes breathing. Fear changes heartbeat. Fear disturbs sleep. Fear weakens inner strength. Fear even changes how people interpret ordinary sensations. A small discomfort becomes alarming. A silence becomes frightening. A delay becomes anxiety. And gradually, fear begins occupying more space than reality itself. This is why fear is often more destructive than illness. Because illness may belong to the body, but fear invades the whole person. And once fear dominates, a person loses not only calmness, but often also inner dignity. That is why eternal love is not merely describing a medical situation, it is revealing a universal modern condition. Today, many people may not even have serious illness. Hi Mason, thank you for your recommendation for the book Reclaim the Throne of Your Heart. Yes, I am also highly recommending this book, Reclaim the Throne of Your Heart. Even though there are so many English editions, Xuemo's books have been translated into many languages and many books are translated into English. This one is my favorite, Reclaim the Throne of Your Heart. I am actually on the train, Pontus. Hello. Hi God 007. No, we are all freedom. At least in my city where I was born, in my hometown, we all free. But in the fast, I cannot stand the 100% of Chinese people, right? So many cultures. But this is a very modern society, very economic. I think everywhere is there is freedom for the marriage. Yeah, so good, yes. My favorite of the English editions is Reclaim the Throne of Your Heart. Of course, my favorite during Xuemo's all 80 titles of books, my favorite is the Undying Diamond Heart. And the first English translation edition, I'm not so satisfied with that. And the new translation edition just finished and will be published in the near future. So I'm really happy. Thank you for your kind words. So we are mainly about talking about Xuemo's works and the wisdom and reading Xuemo's works, all about this, no other things. Okay. My favorite is the Holy Monk and the Spiritual Woman. In Chinese, it is actually the Undying Diamond Heart. and the second English translation edition will come out in the near future, and I will let you know. And actually, the love goddess, the love letters from the goddess, the letters are picked from the book The Holy Monk and the Spiritual Woman. It is becoming cold. I need to put on my coat. So today many people may not even have serious ills of being misunderstood, fear of losing emotional connection. The question, the message from the God 007. Nowadays, the Z generation have a boundary sense, but no access. What's your opinion about this? I don't think the Z generation, they don't have the access, because actually in my environment, the Z generation, they don't need to worry about the in the lake. I never heard about this before. Is it okay now? The live session, is the screen still freezing? Illness. Their fear of not being enough, fear of losing emotional connection, and literature allows us to see fear in human form. It gives fear language, it gives fear emotional shape, and once fear becomes visible, it becomes possible to understand it. But understanding fear is only the first step. The deeper question is, how do human beings deal with fear? This is where Eastern wisdom becomes extremely important. Because in many Eastern and transform. This is very different approach. Modern life often teaches immediate reaction. Fight fear, escape fear, distract fear, replace fear. But Eastern wisdom often teaches first see fear clearly. Because what is unclear becomes stronger. Unconscious becomes dominant. And what is resisted blindly often returns in another form. So the first movement is awareness, to see fear as fear. Eastern math, sorry, I don't have the magic. So to see fear as fear, to recognize this is an emotional wave. This is not a whole truth. This is a movement passing through consciousness. And that small shift already changed something. Because the moment a person can observe fear, they are no longer completely trapped inside it. And this is why breathing becomes important in Eastern practice. Because fear immediately disturbs breathing. I'm on the train from London to the Bath. You know, breathing is the most direct bridge between body and mind. When fear comes, breathing becomes shallow. The chest tightens. The rhythm changes. So one of the oldest wisdom methods is simply to return to breath. Slow breathing, deep breathing, conscious breathing. Not because breathing magically removes difficulty,
When approaching
but
back
because
spa, if you're
breathing
leaving us at back
restores
spa,
internal
please check you have
order.
all your personal
And
belongings
once
with
breathing
you, and
changes,
do take care to
thought
step out
begins
from the
change.
train. Bath Spa, your next station call shortly.
This sounds simple, but complex psychological methods while forgetting something very basic. The body and the mind are deeply linked. And Eastern wisdom has always understood this. Breath is not merely biological. Breath is emotional regulation. Breath is mental grounding. Breath is an invisible doorway back to inner balance. Another important part of Eastern wisdom is stillness. Modern life changes constant movement, constant stimulation, constant input, constant reaction, but fear grows fastest when the mind never stops moving. Because a restless mind multiplies fear endlessly. A still mind sees proportion. A still mind regains perspective. A still mind can separate fact from imagination. That is why stillness is not emptiness. Stillness is clarity, and clarity weakens fear. Because fear often feeds on vagueness. The less clear the mind becomes, the larger fear appears. It is 11, almost 11:30 in London. So silence is actually like spiritual medicine. Silence allows emotional turbulence to settle, and only when something settles can deeper strength appear. Then comes another very important point. Eastern wisdom does not only calm fear, it transforms the meaning of suffering itself. This is perhaps one of its deepest contributions. Because many modern systems ask, how do we eliminate suffering? But Eastern wisdom often asks, what can suffering teach before it disappears? This does not mean glorifying pain. It means refusing to waste pain. Because every human life eventually encounters difficulty. Illness may come, loss may come, aging may come, uncertainty will certainly come. The question is not whether difficulty exists. The question is whether difficulty destroys inner life or deepens it. And this is where eternal love becomes so meaningful. Because the story does not deny pain. But inside pain, another current remains. Love, presence, warmth, understanding, human tenderness. It tells us something essential. Fear narrows the inner world. Love expands it. Fear isolates. Love reconnects. Fear hardens. Love softens. Fear says, I may lose everything. And love says, even now, something meaningful remains. Let's talk about what Eastern wisdom can control the anger. Actually, there is a certain training in Eastern wisdom to not control, but you will be like resettle your progress of life. And this kind of training is all in the book, Xuemo's book, Reclaim the Throne of Your Heart. So you can read Reclaim the Throne of Your Heart because it is not only about the methods of how to let your heart belong to yourself, but also there is practical methods and accessible language to take the Eastern wisdom into your daily life. So there are many ways how to control your not good at don't means you cannot. Just do it. Buy this book right away on Amazon. Reclaim the throne of your heart. There is